Okay, hi everybody. I suppose you already know, but I'm Nathalie Kelley, and I play the beauty in The Beauty and the Baker. It took a lot of effort to get out of my pajamas today so I could convince you guys that I'm the beauty. But we're waiting on Dean Georgaris, who is the creator of our show, our showrunner, our executive producer, our writer. He's the one that adapted it for American audiences. And I'm really honored to have him join me today. I think it's going to be his first Instagram live view. Go live with Dean Georgaris. Ah. Hi.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Good. You were a lot faster than Victor.
Yeah, well, that's no shock.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I haven't seen each other since quarantine.
I'm trying to figure out where to look. I guess I look here.
Yeah, it's just a conversation.
I know the problem is, where do you put the iPhone so that you, like, I want to have it on the big screen.
Why? Are you not talking to me on your iPhone?
I'm talking to you. Oh, how did I do that? I'm talking to you on my iPhone, but I want to like watch it on the big computer.
Oh, got it. Now you're getting too technical for me.
Like, how are you holding your phone right now?
I have a tripod because I'm an actress, so I do self-tapes all the time.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I've got my lights. Look, this is my lighting setup, everybody. This is my beauty, like what you can't really see, but anyway, a little behind the scenes. Here I am.
How'd you compete with that?
Well, it's good to see you. And
likewise.
We've got like 600 people tuning in right now. This is very exciting.
Oh, good.
And you can see their comments down below. This is your first Instagram live, right?
Yeah, I just see lots of colored hearts and then cool words flying by.
This is my 4th time, so I feel like a pro. All right, so guys, we will be reading from these pre-recorded questions. I mean, submitted questions. And then at some point, I will be checking in with the comments here right now to answer any comments you might have in the moment. Did you get any good questions from Twitter?
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, good. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Okay, fire away. Let's do it.
Ready? Okay. So what made you want to do the remake? Well, should we give people context first?
Sure.
Maybe you can answer the context of the show in that question. So it is a remake. So
yeah, it's a remake. So what happened is, about 2 years ago, Peter Tralgood and Rachel Kaplan, who work at this company Keshet, which is an Israeli company, and so controls Israeli shows, reached out to me and they said, we've got a format we want you to see. And they basically described it as Notting Hill. And in the back of my mind, I thought, well, Notting Hill's been done and it was a movie. That's not a TV show. How could you sustain it? But then I watched it. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, the Israeli show is incredible. And as I was watching it, I found myself thinking, they spend a lot of time on the Baker and the Beauty, which is great. But when you get together with someone, you don't just get together with the person. You end up getting together with their entire life, right? You get to know their friends, you get to know their families. And so I thought there was room for an American adaptation that spent more time with all of the characters. I thought that would be a more interesting journey in the long run for Noah. Thought it would be a more interesting journey for Daniel. And, if you think about it, our show actually has 3 Bakers and 3 Beauties.
That's true.
And I think it gives us more to play with. And then there was some skepticism, frankly, because people
it's not a genre that's been done before, right?
No, I mean, especially 1 hour romantic skewing more comedy. The network TV tends to do that in half hour. So I think there's a little skepticism and people thought we were crazy, but when the script came in and, then people started to kind of jump on board, and then we were lucky enough to Sarah Isaacson put together the world's greatest cast.
Okay,
And
I think we got to tell you the audience. So no one watching is going to know about Keshet or Sarah Isaacson,
gotcha.
even though we love them. But yeah, I just in case, like, just to switch the the context of our conversation.
Sure, sure, sure.
I think probably the people tuning in right now to this conversation are probably like skewing towards a younger demographic.
Gotcha.
And the kind of questions I got were like, what's your favorite outfit on the show?
What is your favorite outfit on the show?
Well, I only pretty much wear one in the pilot.
Right.
But no, but yes, I gave you the most serious one first. But so, okay, so here's a fun one, actually. Maybe I'll do one and then you do one. So similarities between me and Noah is a big one. Well, I was on my hands and knees cleaning my own kitchen floor a few days ago, scrubbing it, cleaning up like kitty litter. And, you know, because our cleaning ladies are not coming to work because they're protecting themselves throughout the quarantine, which reminds me, please still pay your cleaning lady whatever you can. She relies on you for income.
Yep.
And as I was on my hands and knees scrubbing my kitchen floor, I had it was like, I think a day after the premiere or the day before the premiere. And I thought, Noah Hamilton has never done this in her life. And next time somebody asks me if we're just kind of the same person, I can use this story as an analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, it was just a real humble moment for me. And the truth is that, like, I come from way more humble circumstances than Noah Hamilton, whose dad is obviously a billionaire. But it's funny because I got an email from my dad, who is slightly Asperger's. And he always gives me like the funniest reviews on everything that I've done. Like, we call it the Trevor Kelley report. On Dynasty, they would have me read it the next day in the trailer because everyone wanted to hear, because it was so tactless and like, just because, you know, Asperger's.
Right.
And he's just got a really like weird, dark sense of humor. And so he goes, show review for episode 1, season 1. He goes, well, I'm glad we get to see what your life would have been like if your dad was a billionaire. And then his answer was, not much different. Because he was just like, it's true, there is a lot of me in the role, like just in the fun she has with like her persona. Like, it's not this super heavy thing that she carries. She's not really haunted by the celebrity, but she's just kind of like owning it and living her best life. And
I think a way you're really like her though too is, you know, there's a lot more to you than just the beauty, right? Like, and that was so, I mean, the character, we didn't want it to be, she's just, not that a model is just, but you know, she's a businesswoman, she's an entrepreneur, she's a role model to young women. And I think I think that's true for you. I think you speak very eloquently on women's issues, and you speak really eloquently on the challenges and the struggles you've had, and the bad messaging that's out there for young women, and the bad imaging that's out there for young women. And that feels very Noah Hamilton to me. So I think you're very much like her that way.
Thank you so much, Dean.
Sure.
And I have to say, this was the most inspiring character I've ever played. And I find myself trying to embody Noah as Nathalie, and vice versa. When I'm playing Noah, I think like, oh, what would Nathalie's best version of herself do here? So yeah. So that was another thing that came up, was like, what was the audition process like? You know, like, how did finding me and finding Daniel?
I'm smiling because we put Nathalie through a lot of torture in that, you know, obviously it's all about chemistry. And you meet with a lot of really great actors and actresses, and you don't know exactly what you're looking for until you see it. And so we found Nathalie, and, you know, one of the first things that did, Nat, was it opened up the idea of letting you play your Australian accent, which I think is really cool and adds something to the show. Yeah. So we found her, but the way it works is basically we couldn't really offer it to her until we knew who we were going to match her with. So she came back and she read with 5, I think, did you read with 5? Victors?
Six.
You read
Six Daniels.
6 Daniels, sorry, Victors. We're only one Victor, but six
Oh, yeah.
Daniels. And by the way, all of them great in different ways. That you're really just looking at it. It's kind of like you'll know it when you see it. And when Victor came in, we just knew it when we saw it. It just, it was just right there. It was very self-evident. And then from that, we finally got to tell Nathalie she had the
Well,
part.
what were you looking for in a Noah, and what were you looking for in a Daniel?
I think one of the hardest things to pull off in Noah is actually having that little extra gestalt that very famous people have. Like there is just not just a presence, but there's an attitude, there's a way they move through things. They use the men's room if they feel like it. Like it's somewhere between entitlement and ego and presence. And it's actually very hard if you don't have it. It's a little bit like you can't really fake it.
That's so funny. That's what my dad was referring to, by the way.
So that was actually one of the that was really a challenge, because in a way you're trying to find a movie star who's not a movie star yet.
Right.
And then, and for Daniel, it was probably one of the bigger departures from the Israeli show in the pilot process was, Daniel in this case is sort of very grounded, very relatable, I think very even keeled and well adjusted. And we were looking for that, and we were looking for someone who we believe exuded the qualities that Noah Hamilton could fall for and that she hadn't necessarily seen before. So someone who exuded integrity, someone who you sort of got the feeling, you know what, this guy would be a good friend. Like this guy will make me laugh. This guy, because Noah's exposed to the most beautiful men and women all of the time. So we knew we needed a good-looking Daniel, but we needed someone who brought things that she didn't necessarily see every day.
Yeah.
And I think Victor does such a great job with that. And then, the cast around him who plays family, I think they all bring that. They bring such a sense of reality to their roles. I mean, I watch that family and I think I want to be in that family, which makes me believe that you would want to be part of that family. And I think that's crucial, because otherwise we can't have the audience saying, what does she see in him?
I'm getting comments here, love the little sister and the whole family. So maybe I'll go to some questions that concern other characters, because I really think that, honestly, the love story is just an excuse and a backdrop for this larger narrative with the family. They're so amazing. So, so a question that came up was about Vanessa. People are wondering what her role will be over the season without giving too much away.
Sure.
What happens now?
Sure. So I'm going to speak to both people who've seen the people who've seen the Israeli series. Let me just say, our Vanessa is very different. And for people who have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll say this. In the first episode, obviously, she's kind of, I don't want to say the villain, but she's the foil. And she's the little bit, oh, is she crazy because she does the Taylor? I like to think she's committed and passionate. But over the course of this season, and especially after the first few episodes, I think what the audience is going to find is that there's a reason Daniel loved Vanessa. She's passionate, she's committed, she's strong-willed, she believes in herself, she's entrepreneurial, and you're going to see all of that. You're going to see her basically playing a really integral role in the story and in the family story. And by the time you get, fairly late in the season, I think the audience is going to love Vanessa. And I think they are really going to be rooting for her in her own way. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Amazing.
Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that?
Yes. She's actually I hate saying this, but she's they're all my favorites, but I have just a really special spot in my heart for her character.
Yeah.
And I'm really invested in her storyline.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, I keep pitching they should team up. I think it's such a nice modern day, conflict wise, for the show that doesn't really work. But like, I just love, yeah, I love that. I will say this without making it a spoiler, that Dean as a writer doesn't fall into any kind of cliche writing traps where there's like I can say there's not going to be a dynasty catfight between Vanessa and I. Like, that's not the show that we're writing. That's not the authentic story that I'm telling. I think the more interesting story is like what happens when two like nuanced people are pit against each other over a man, and not this archetype of like of dueling women. But it does not saying that there's not a duel. It just doesn't involve somebody getting their hair pulled and pushed in a pool.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for Vanessa, what the audience is going to see is in the second episode, I think she's still not really sure what's going on with Daniel and what kind of fight she's in. But if you stay around for episode 3, I think you're going to start to see something you're really going to start to root for. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, cool. So, will we meet Noah's father soon?
We will meet Noah's father. We'll meet Noah's father in this season. And I think when we meet him, it'll fill in some of the background to Noah that we sense, but when we meet her dad, I think we'll all go, I see why guarded now. I see why, one of the things we used to sort of say to people was, Noah lives the fairy tale, but will she get happily ever after? Sort of just like a, catchy way of saying it, but I think she's not had healthy role models in her life in terms of her parents. And the audience will get to learn that, and they'll get to know each of her parents. And I think, and Nathalie, you tell me, but I think Noah as a character, her strengths and her weaknesses make even more sense when you meet the parents.
Totally. And I have to say that they did a really cool casting with my dad for all the Aussies. It's this amazing Aussie actor, Grant Bowler. And I have to say that there was one time, actually, I told my Aussie dad this on the phone, and he could not stop laughing. I said, there was a moment in a scene where can I give away the one line?
Sure.
Hello, father.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen my father in, like, we say about, like, 8 years or something. And all of a sudden he shows up and I am having a moment with him. And my first words are, hello, father. And, I had not met this actor before in my life and was doing a little bit of acting substitution. And I actually did one take where I walked in and I said, hello, Trevor. And everyone was like,
it sounds suspiciously like a soap opera.
No, I didn't act it like that. But you know what I mean. Hey, are you making fun of my acting?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm saying that sounded like a soap opera.
What, my delivery?
Hello, Trevor.
Well, of course I didn't do it like that. But I was so, look, I was hamming it up for the Instagram live,
sure,
okay?
Sure.
Obviously,
no problem.
If I did do a take like that, you would not have used it.
No.
But just funny that I said my dad's name. So that's how much, there was, crossover. Although my dad's not, he's a nice man. Trevor Kelley, if you're watching, you have much nicer qualities than my dad's. A bit, not a villain, but he hasn't always been the best to his daughter, as you said. So can I ask, well, this is a little bit of over the course of this, it says, do you see the show exploring the possibility of marriage and kids?
I think in the long run, of course it should explore that's where relationships go, right? I think one of the things that's interesting about this show is, on the one hand, it's two people, right? Julia Roberts says in Notting Hill, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. It's just two people. And it's the ups and downs of falling for someone, ex-boyfriends, arguments. Where do you agree? Where don't you agree? And eventually that leads to is this real or not? And if it's real, I think that should eventually lead to, do we get married and what does that mean? And then all of that is a little more complicated when someone's life is as big as Noah Hamilton's. You know, it's not, one of the things we used to talk about is, you know, imagine Daniel asks Noah Hamilton not to do, to blow off something for work. Like, please don't, I want you to take these 3 days off to come do this thing with me. Those 3 days for Noah Hamilton, like
that's
those
$3
could have
million
been,
for Noah Hamilton.
and it could be charity events, and it could be charity events. It could be corporate, you know, so her life is bigger and it's complicated.
Yeah. She doesn't just belong to him.
And then, I mean, I think, and you can speak to this as an actress too, if you care to, I don't want to put you on the spot, but like kids, I mean, kids is an incredibly difficult decision for anyone. I'm in awe of women because it's such a commitment. It's a commitment with your body and your spirit. And when you have the kind of life that she does, you know, you're asking her to change that life. I mean, you're asking every woman to change her life dramatically, but clearly the Noah Hamilton everyone's met in the pilot doesn't look like she's anywhere close to excited about having children. And so I think that will be a very interesting journey to see her get there if she does.
Totally. Although the question is asked to me episode 5, but I won't answer it for people. But it was scripted where you asked Noah how she felt about kids. So how important was it to represent the Latin community in Miami?
I think it was incredibly important. You know,
it's such a dynamic, like watchable community to represent on TV.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, we talk a lot about, on the one hand, our cast is entirely Latinx. Like,
hi, Georgina. Sorry, go on.
Even my little
is that how you say it, Latinx? I've been saying Latinx.
I don't know. Maybe that's how you should say it. I don't.
No, I'm definitely wrong.
I think maybe I can't read the little scroll, but I'm hoping people are laughing. But you know, the truth is, my main job is to write a realistic, smart family, and then we make it feel authentic to Miami. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, we talked a lot about avoiding having just the dumb one or the silly one. It's like, all of them are witty, all of them are funny, all of them are smart. And then the truth is, I mean, our cast just, I mean, I can't say enough good things about all of them. And several of them, by the way, native to Miami. Half of the writer's room was Latinx, and I think we had several Miami Cubans in the writer's room. So
you can really tell. And as a Latina, I want to echo what I've been hearing from other Latinos, how excited and honored we are to see ourselves represented in this way, you know? And I know the whole cast feels like this. Like, for many years, and I can speak to this as an actress, I auditioned for like the maid, the cop, you know, at least I'm not a guy, so I never auditioned for the gangster, but I've had plenty like from the wrong side of the tracks. And look, that's all fine, but like, what about the Latinos from the right side of the tracks? Like, maybe they don't have like a lot of money, but what they got to see us have in terms of integrity and the way their bond as a family is so inspiring. And thank you for writing us in that way.
Sure.
And kudos to like actors like you were saying, Carlos Garcia. Carlos Gomez.
Carlos Gomez. Good. You trying on the accents.
You know. And Lisa Vidal, who are just like the quintessential like Latin parents. And so many people have been resonating with them. And then others resonate. Like, so many people said, I love that Mateo in the pilot says, I didn't speak Spanish. Yeah. Because so many first generations resonated with him. Because that's like, you know, like I'm guilty of that. We moved to Australia and I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. So I'm trying to make amends to that one. So we have time for one more question because we'll keep this short and sweet. Well, do you have one from your Twitter?
Me? Oh, no, I've not. No, they're all yours.
Oh, okay. just didn't know if there was something specific. Okay. Audition process. How do I relate? Vanessa, we did all of them. Will we meet Noah's father? Marriage and kids. Okay, what about, let me go. Hey, I'm throwing it to you guys on the comments because we've actually gotten through
My
mine.
little comments froze. I don't know
You're
what I
not
did.
seeing them? Okay.
No, they're frozen. I somehow froze it.
Okay, so I will read some of them to you, but there've been some really nice comments saying, look, one of my favorite storylines is his little sister. I'm so excited to see her character development. She's everybody's favorite, Belisa.
Yeah. She's another one. Like, her audition scene was the scene from the pilot where she's being questioned whether or not MC Cubano is her brother, and she's like, no. And the actual audition, you record it. So it's like she comes and we're watching her and we're recording it, and I couldn't stop laughing. Like, I ruined 5 of her takes because I just burst out laughing.
She's a comic genius.
She's a comic genius. And over the course of the season, I love her story. Her story is sort of an homage to John Hughes films, which is before a lot of people was watching this time. But, I'll just say this. There are so many relationships on TV right now that immediately go right to the heat and like right to the problems, and they skip the whole falling for each other phase. Like First Love in particular, like First Love on TV has gotten so, I'm taking ecstasy and I'm in the pool, and that's not always the experience. And we get to tell a really good first love story with her this season.
And it's so pure too, and there's something to be said for that, like, innocent first love. Like, no offense to Euphoria, which is a great show, but like, I know what you're referring to. That we've got to show people that there's also another path you can take to experiencing first love. It doesn't have to all be like tragedy and drugs. Sorry, my favorite question came from David Del Rio, and he says, "Do you like me?"
Of course.
I have to just shout out to David Del Rio right now. He's the funniest man.
He's Mateo, for those watching.
Oh, that's
who don't
right.
know.
Sorry, he's Mateo, and he's like, this is where I get into trouble with the favorites, because
it's impossible.
He lights up my heart when I see him perform. He really is like just like the comedic backbone too of the show. Like just his physical comedy.
Yep.
So I want to share a story with watchers. When I was doing my audition for Noah, when they brought me in for these chemistry reads with 6 Daniels, I show up into the audition room, and sitting there is David Del Rio, Mateo, looking over his lines. And I think, because I'm there to test with Daniels, that he's like Daniel #1.
Right.
And so I think David's there to be Daniel. So I do what any good actress does, is I start to try to build chemistry and rapport in the room. So I sit down next to him and I was like, hi. And he's just like, he looks up from his sides and he was like, hi. Like and I mean, David is married and so am I, but like, it wasn't like, he was always super respectful, but he was really engaging. And I don't know, David, were you confused? Did you feel
What's really funny is David originally, I think, first came in for Daniel.
Oh, really? So I wasn't far off.
And our fantastic casting director said, you're great, but you need to be Mateo.
Well, he was cracking me up in the audition room, and I thought like, this is their comedic choice for Daniel. He's good. But then I was like, oh my God, I'm not funny like this guy. I hope they don't need me to like be as funny as this guy. I don't know too many people who are. And then he says, you were nice to me, and then nice to, no, you cooked it, David. You didn't even finish your sentence. Now you've made me look silly. But yes, we were nice to each other. And then when I saw him at the table read for Mateo, I was like, oh, I think I saw his picture earlier. But at the table read, we had a big laugh about it. And yeah, he's just one of my favorite humans. And then also, I think there's one person I haven't mentioned. We talked about Belisa, how amazing Carlos and Lisa are, who are the parents. Yeah, David, we've talked about amazing Vanessa. And now I got to shout out to my 2 homies, Dan Bukatinsky and Georgina Riley, who are just like, they need a show on their own. And I've got we came up with the perfect name for their spin-off. the manager and the brand manager.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's a terrific. I just see people can't. I can't wait to tune in.
Can you
Is it on?
imagine the water cooler
Is it on
talk?
HGTV?
Have you seen that new show, the manager and the brand manager? There's something about it. It's very unique. We were crying laughing the day that we came up with that. But it was hard working with them because they're both also like comedic geniuses in their own right, and like very specific. Everyone has their own like really like years of cultivated specific comedic abilities. Besides me. And so it's really interesting to watch everybody work. Actually, I think I've gotten a little bit funnier since working with all of them. And Michelle Ventimiglia actually said I am really funny when I'm just being me. Anyway,
that's because she's nice.
Thanks. I had to throw that in there, guys, because. But wait, how did I get back to me? This story was about how funny Georgina and Dan are. So they're often like the comedic relief in the show. And there's a couple of episodes towards the end of the season where Noah's really going through it, and they'd always want to end the scene on like me just like thinking like, oh, what am I going to do? What decision am I going to make? I can't believe he did this. So it was like always kind of ending on me having this dramatic moment. But then I would look up at them and they'd always have some like hilarious improv line to like lighten the mood. And it would crack me up a couple of times. I'd have to be like, guys, I've got to stay serious on this one. But yeah, two also gems of humans. Tell us about how you found them.
Well, Dan actually, we just offered him the part and he said yes, which was, a terrific. Same with Michelle, actually. And that was great because, you get a little bit of Lewis in the pilot being more than just the snarky, funny manager. He actually cares deeply for Noah. And in season 1, you will see him going through a really interesting story of his own. Like he's always funny, but he's going to be very human, especially by the middle of the season. And with Georgina, we were trying to find that magic combination of someone we believe would be Noah's friend, but would feel different enough from Noah, like that we would have stuff to write to and we would have stuff to play. And Georgina came in, and actually Georgina came in and auditioned with an English accent, and we thought she was British, and then she's like, no, and so we actually had to figure out which way we wanted her to play it.
There can only be one foreign accent on this show, Georgina.
By the way, that's basically what we decided and why we decided it.
But actually, that's not true, because with my dad, he's very Aussie. True. And I respect you for doing that, because it's intense to have two strong Aussie accents on a show. So I think that's a network first. So thank you so much. I feel like we wrapped it up really beautifully. Sure. Some people were asking how many episodes. 9 episodes. 9 episodes. And we did get to finish filming season 1. And so we have a rebroadcast. So we're showing the first episode again, right? 10 p.m. Saturday, ABC, guys. Yep. So if you missed out the first time, be sure to tune in. And then tune in next Monday and the Monday after that. I promise you, if you give us 3 episodes, you'll never leave. Yeah, just true. Yeah, that's I think that is true though. Like, but I think a lot of people feel really hooked after 1, but after 3, like sold for life. Yeah. But tell your friends, guys. We're open to all help getting the word out. We still feel like a little show in that way, and so, yeah. Thank you for joining us for this Instagram Live. I'm going to post this to. Thank you, Dean. I was thanking everybody else, and now I'm thanking you. Thank you, darling. The reason I'm here, and I'm so grateful for you and your friendship, and that we got to work together. And I'll see you for live tweeting on Monday. Yeah. Take care. Bye. Ooh, now we can see her wide. Well, I'm still watching you.